Welcome. I'm Jill Ryan, Chief Executive Officer at Courtemanche & Associates. And here's the next in our series of tips related to Joint Commission's top scoring requirements. If you tuned into our first, you'll know that we're on a roll here with infection control and prevention. This episode is focused on the very critical area of high-level disinfection, a topic well talked about, much talked about, both in the healthcare literature as well as in the mass media. Some excerpts from findings that we see scored in this area. Several instruments stored in a plastic container, not kept wet, awaiting transport to central processing. Another example, observed that vaginal probes were noted to be stored in the back of the ultrasound machine without being covered. And finally, another example, observed that the organization was not spraying used instruments with an enzymatic pre-cleanser, therefore allowing bioburden to dry on the instruments. Focus in this area will only increase as organizations have been slow in making solid, sustained change in high-level disinfection. So what can we do to address this really critical issue in hospitals and ambulatory settings throughout the healthcare continuum? First, start with an inventory. Make a solid inventory of wherever high-level disinfection is occurring in your organization. Make that an active process. Go out and do rounds. Look in interventional areas, procedural areas. Here's a hint. Ask your purchasing department what departments or services are ordering pre-cleansing products and products such as Sidex, etc. That's a good indicator that high-level disinfection may be occurring in those areas. Then assure a collaborative approach to high-level disinfection, whether it's a decentralized process or a centralized process. There should be involvement of the infection prevention professional, the central sterile processing professional, as well as local or departmental management. Assure some standardization of policy and procedure and even product use, if possible, across the organization. And absolutely key for high-level disinfection wherever it is occurring, and really many processes throughout your organization, is following manufacturers' instructions for use for the equipment, for the products being used to process that equipment, to do the disinfection. Make sure that there is a process to assure that the most current manufacturer's instructions for use are being used, that they're updated, that policy and procedures are updated every time those IFUs are updated, and staff competencies. There's a tendency to take for granted that staff that have been performing high-level disinfection for years are doing it in accordance with the most current guidelines, but that is not always the case. Often those in those positions the longest have developed practices that may not be consistent with current guidelines. So staff competencies on orientation annually, anytime the process changes, very, very important. Thanks so much for stopping by to listen to this tip. Please don't hesitate to ask, reach out with any questions, ask us for assistance, or share our best practice with us so we can share it with others. Thank you.